Purge, sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the Purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the Purge, shall not be harmed. May God be with you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Elizabeth Warren is pretty much having a complete and total mental breakdown at this very moment. You see, Elizabeth Warren is not happy that Trump and Elon Musk are on a crusade to cut waste out of our federal government's budget. No, in fact, it would seem as if every time a budget cut is made, Elizabeth Warren descends one step further into complete and total insanity. So hey, let's just jump right into things. For some context, here's a clip of President Trump explaining exactly what's going on.
Why is it important for Elon Musk to have access to the payment systems at Treasury?
Well, he's got access only to letting people go that he thinks are no good if we agree with him, and it's only if we agree with him. He's a very talented guy from the standpoint of management and costs, and we put him in charge of seeing what he can do with certain groups and certain numbers. Some of the numbers are horrible, what he's found. Think of it, $100 million on condoms to Hamas, and many other things that are frankly even more ridiculous. And they're finding tremendous waste, really waste more than anything else, I think you could say. Probably fraud and abuse could be added to it, the more standard waste, fraud, and abuse.
Okay, so what President Trump has done is effectively give Elon Musk access to the U.S. Treasury's payment system so that he can conduct an audit. And it's this system that pretty much all of our federal government's payments operate through. And so, as President Trump said, Elon can't just start indiscriminately cutting things at his own discretion. No, what Elon is doing is identifying wasteful government expenditures, running them by Trump, then cutting it if it makes sense. And guess what? As Elon continues to peel back the layers of our federal budget, he just keeps on finding more waste and more fraud. Money, as in billions of dollars, has just been disappearing into various black holes, and no one can explain why. And so this is where the Democrats come into the picture, specifically Senator Elizabeth Warren. You see, as we said earlier, as Elon Musk continues to make cuts to the federal budget, Elizabeth Warren has pretty much descended into complete and total madness. In fact, she actually released an official video statement on all of this, so let's go ahead and start breaking it down.
I just want to be clear about what's going on here. The system that makes sure that your granddad gets his Social Security check, the system that makes sure that your mom's doctor gets Medicare payment to cover her medical appointment, and the system that makes sure that you get the tax refund that you're owed has been taken over by Elon Musk.
So you can already see what she's going to do here. It's all just fear-mongering and propaganda. And by the way, Elon Musk hasn't taken over the system. He's just auditing it under Trump's direction.
And every organization from your state government that uses federal money on that bridge project to the local Head Start that takes care of little kids while their mommies and daddies go to work is now at the mercy of Elon Musk. Elon just grabbed the controls of our whole payment system, demanding the power to turn it on for his friends or turn it off for anyone he doesn't like.
Yeah, so here's the thing. The only people that he's turning things off for are people that have been embezzling money from the federal government for decades. And actually, now that I think about it, maybe that's why Elizabeth Warren is so upset about all of this.
We don't know what safeguards were pulled down. Are the gates wide open now for hackers from China, from North Korea, from Iran, from Russia? Heck, who knows what black hat hackers all around the world are finding out about each one of us and copying that information for their own criminal uses.
Guys, I have to say, this is probably the most incompetent attempt at fear-mongering I've ever seen. This idea that because the Department of Government Efficiency is now auditing our incredibly wasteful federal budget, that now we're exposed to our enemies abroad is just ridiculous. In fact, everybody keep in mind, it's people like Elizabeth Warren that have been directly involved with funding our enemies abroad, so this is just comically ironic. And now I do want to say real quick, guys, if you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing because it actually does help the channel a lot. But okay, so what else does Senator Elizabeth Warren have to say about all of this?
Donald Trump and his billionaire buddies are determined to take over this government to make it work better for themselves and worse for everyone else. And this is just the start. As we gear up for the tax fight, it will become even clearer that Trump will open the doors for his billionaires and giant corporations to find more ways to loot the government at your expense. Meanwhile, everyone else pays more for groceries, more for housing, more for prescription drugs, and more for health care.
You hear that? Because President Trump is cutting out hundreds of billions of dollars worth of waste out of our federal budget, everything is going to get more expensive somehow. Do you guys think she knows how dumb she sounds? And you know what's funniest about all of this? It's always the Democrats that are yapping about wasteful spending, but when push actually comes to shove, they all love the waste because they're the ones profiting from it. But okay, let's listen to Senator Warren's final thoughts on all of this.
When unelected billionaires start ransacking our government offices, this is not business as usual. Nope, nothing is normal. We are living a nightmare created by Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and we need to wake up.
Okay, listen guys, it's important to pay attention to what she's really saying here. She's saying that cutting waste out of our federal government's budget is quite literally her worst nightmare. Cutting out federal government bloat, waste, and inefficiency is the worst nightmare of the Democrats. That is what she's saying. So when we talk about the swamp, it's this sort of stuff that we're all talking about. And hey, guess what, Elizabeth Warren? This swamp is about to get drained. But now, there's something else I want you guys to see. I'm not sure how many of you guys know this, but most vaccine manufacturers have been given legal protection by our federal government. What this means is that if a faulty vaccine is rolled out and it causes a lot of damage, a lot of health issues perhaps, the vaccine manufacturer can't be legally held accountable or sued. And so just yesterday, Senator Elizabeth Warren unleashed an absolute tirade against RFK Jr. because he threatened to remove some of these legal protections from vaccine manufacturers. Take a look at this.
This is not only about a private company that gets sued and has to pay out. Vaccine manufacturers often operate on very slim profit margins. If they get sued repeatedly and successfully, they simply move out of the vaccine space. We've already seen this happen with vaccines in the past. 20 years ago, we watched vaccines just move away if they did not have protection from these kinds of lawsuits. The consequence of Mr. Kennedy's ability to make those lawsuits easier is also the ability to shut down access and manufacturing for vaccines for every one of us.
Will somebody please think of the poor, innocent pharmaceutical companies? They barely make any money at all. In fact, if we allow them to be held accountable, they might make a little bit less money. Yeah, not exactly the most compelling argument, Senator Elizabeth Warren. And also, by the way, guess who's taken millions of dollars from pharmaceutical companies? That's right, Elizabeth Warren. So hey, I'm telling you guys, the fact that corrupt politicians like Elizabeth Warren are freaking out about Trump and Elon Musk cleaning up our federal budget is not just not a bad thing, but it's also a good thing. In fact, what it actually means is that our country is finally beginning to heal. But hey, I think that's all I've got for you guys with this one. So I want to know what you guys have to say. Please go down below in the comments and drop a comment for me. Please like the video if you liked it. Please consider subscribing. Like I said earlier on in the video, it really does help a lot. Thank you all very much for tuning in today. And of course, as always, stay safe. Ladies and gentlemen, Democratic Senator Adam Schiff is absolutely sweating bullets right now. You see, just the other day, President Trump issued an order that purged almost all of the FBI's leadership, as well as many of the corrupt FBI personnel that acted in accordance with Biden's weaponization of the justice system. And as you all might remember, Senator Adam Schiff was a big part of that. And so right this very moment, pretty much everyone on the left is losing their minds. Take a look.
Where the Trump administration has conducted an unprecedented purge at the top levels of the FBI. Unprecedented. Administration officials have forced out all 6 of the FBI's most senior executives and multiple heads of various FBI field offices across the country, according to current and former FBI officials who spoke with NBC News. This is hostile takeover of federal law enforcement. There's no other way to call it. Included the high-profile leader of the Washington, D.C. field office, which was involved in the prosecutions of President Donald Trump. The Department of Justice also fired multiple federal prosecutors who conducted the criminal investigation of January 6 rioters, according to sources.
And so keep in mind, these are the very same January 6 rioters that were held for 4 years with no charges and without due process. The very same people that Donald Trump just pardoned. And so right now, Senator Adam Schiff isn't exactly happy. As he posted on X just yesterday, FBI Director nominee Kash Patel promised no retribution. The next day, we have this grotesque purge at the FBI. Pam Bondi said she would examine the pardons on a case-by-case basis. Then Trump gave 1,550 pardons overnight. Their confirmation commitments mean nothing. And so why is Senator Adam Shifty Schiff so upset about all of this? Well, as many of you might remember, he was on the very corrupt January 6 House Select Committee. In fact, that wasn't the end of his Twitter tirade. Take a look at this. Tonight, Donald Trump fired dozens of prosecutors at the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office and agents at the FBI. Another Friday night massacre as the president removes those loyal to the Constitution and installs those loyal to him. Yeah, because President Trump is some evil dictator, right? Or maybe he's just cutting out all of the corruption that has spread throughout the FBI over the last couple years. In fact, take a look at this.
They appear to be targeting all of the FBI agents who were involved in any of the cases brought against January 6th rioters. And to put this in perspective, the January 6th riot cases make up the largest single investigation ever in the history of the Bureau. The January 6th cases are the largest criminal caseload ever assembled by the Department of Justice. If they are going to try to purge every FBI agent who took any part in any one of these well over 1,000 cases, that's kind of the whole FBI. I mean, not every single member of the FBI, but certainly most of the FBI.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what all of this seems to be about. Keep in mind, this is the very same FBI that concocted a bunch of bogus charges in order to raid Trump's house at Mar-a-Lago, that spied on his 2016 presidential campaign under the direction of Barack Obama, and hunted down anyone even loosely involved with January 6th. So hey, I don't know how anyone can even try to deny that there are highly corrupt, deeply partisan actors operating inside of the FBI. That seems abundantly clear. But also, guys, I want to say real fast, if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the videos, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help a lot. But okay, so what does all of this stuff really mean?
There's an enormous impact, Kate. This is probably the biggest purge in the modern history of the FBI. And we're talking about most of the senior leadership at the Bureau. You mentioned those 6 executive assistant directors. They're like the top supervisors on the 7th floor here in headquarters at Washington, D.C. But today we're learning that as many as 20 or more special agents in charge of various field offices around the country have also been removed from their posts.
So have you guys heard the phrase, the fish rots from the head down? Well, guess what? That seems to be the case here. What seems to be happening is that Trump has identified leadership within the FBI that has been complicit in the weaponization of the justice system, as well as various other low-level employees that were happy to go along with it. And so guess what? It's those people that he's getting rid of. But I mean, really, what's the alternative to doing this? How is Trump supposed to lead the country with an FBI that is looking to stab knives in his back every chance they get? Because we've all seen that that's clearly what's on the agenda. And the reality is that we all just gave Trump the mandate to do what he needs to do. And guess what? That includes purging corrupt members of the FBI. If Trump has proof that these people illegally conspired against him or sought to weaponize the justice system against him, they've got to go. But okay, so as all of this is going on, as all of this is unfolding, Senator Adam Shifty Schiff just yesterday hopped on a podcast and talked about what the people can do to help combat Trump's reign of tyranny. Take a look.
The best thing I would say for your viewers to do to avoid the despair that comes from feeling you have no control over what's happening is to be involved. You don't have to invent the wheel. If you care about what he's doing to the environment and his drill baby drill and the fact that it's producing these deadly fires in California and deadly hurricanes in North Carolina, there are lots of great environmental groups to get involved with.
Did you hear that? He actually just blamed the recent Californian wildfires and the hurricanes in North Carolina on Trump's drill baby drill agenda. First off, that's just painfully and obviously ridiculous. But second off, does he forget who was in the White House for the last 4 years? Because as a reminder, it wasn't President Trump. But as you all know, this is just typical behavior for members of the progressive left. Everything bad that happens during Democrat rule is somehow because of the evil Republicans, and everything good that happens during the rule of the evil Republicans is somehow because of the great and amazing Democrats. They genuinely live in an alternate, distorted reality, and these people like Adam Schiff, they are literally insane. But okay, so what else does Mr. Adam Schiff have to say?
If you want to weigh in on the immigration debate and push back against mass deportations, there are groups that will allow you to be a part of calling attention to these acts of great inhumanity and speaking out and acting out and joining those litigating to push back.
Yeah, because having borders and enforcing immigration laws is an act of great inhumanity. You can't help but wonder if Adam Schiff even listens to himself when he speaks. Does he have any idea how idiotic he sounds? And this is exactly why the Democrats just got done losing an election. And once again, I want everyone to remember, we can't forget that Mr. Adam Shifty Schiff recently took a preemptive blanket pardon from Biden before he left the White House. It really makes you think, now that Trump is laying off FBI leadership, it sure seems like Trump has reason to believe that there was in fact some foul play going on with these investigations. But hey, when we talk about draining the swamp, this is exactly what we are talking about. We are talking about identifying corrupt deep state actors and getting them out of our government, because we've all seen very recently, just over the last couple years, just how much damage they can do. And if you want to drain the swamp, you've got to get rid of all of the beasts living in the swamp as well. So hey, in a way, Adam Schiff is a lot like Shrek, only not funny and uglier. But hey, I want to know what you guys have to say about all of this, so please go down below and drop a comment. Please like the video if you liked it. Please consider subscribing. It really does help a lot with my daily struggle against the dreaded YouTube algorithm. Thank you all very much for watching, and of course, as always, stay safe.
And I would just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this. But then they're very quiet about the fact that there are still North Carolinians and people in California who have lost everything. And in the last 4 years, this federal government did nothing to help them. This president will continue to put Americans first, and I think the successes of this week so far speak to that, and it's only Wednesday. So I'll see you guys later this week, and we'll see you this afternoon. Thank you. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. Are any officials here preparing to fight Democratic lawmakers in the streets?
Absolutely not.
So
And thanks for the question.
Some elected Democrats are so steamed about Doge. Congresswoman LaMonica McIver says, "We are at war." Ilhan Omar says, "We might actually see somebody get killed." And Chris Van Hollen says, "We have to fight this in the Congress. We have to fight this in the streets." So what now?
And may I just point out, if you heard that type of violent, enticing rhetoric from our side of the aisle, from Republican leaders on Capitol Hill, I think there would be a lot more outrage in this room today. It's unacceptable, the comments that have been made by these Democrat leaders, and frankly, they don't even know what they're talking about. Because President Trump was elected with a mandate from the American people to make this government more efficient. He campaigned across this country with Elon Musk, vowing that Elon was going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, and the two of them, with a great team around them, were going to look at the receipts of this federal government and ensure it's accountable to American taxpayers. That's all that is happening here, and for Democrat officials to incite violence and encourage Americans to take to the streets is incredibly alarming, and they should be held accountable for that rhetoric.
It sounds like something that they're most concerned about is Doge engineers with access to Treasury systems. Can you clarify, do the Doge engineers have read-only access in these systems, so they are not allowed to write new code?
No.
They are not, okay.
No.
In an unprecedented move, President Trump of the United States has ordered the full declassification of all information related to Area 51. This historic decision has reignited debates surrounding extraterrestrial life, secret government projects, and the mysteries of one of the world's most restricted sites. The executive order mandates the release of decades' worth of documents, photos, and footage from the Nevada facility. Early leaks have already sparked worldwide intrigue, revealing strange metallic objects, unidentified biological specimens, and footage of aerial phenomena that appear to defy physics. Social media is flooded with theories, with some suggesting the evidence points to ancient alien contact, while others argue it may be advanced human technology that has been kept under wraps by governments for years. Both conspiracy theorists and skeptics are eagerly trying to make sense of the initial revelations, with more data set to be released soon. As anticipation builds, the question remains, will humanity finally uncover the truth about extraterrestrial life? Or is this merely another story that will have no impact? The mystery surrounding Area 51 is closer than ever to being resolved. Please let us know what you think. Will these documents reveal anything significant Or is this just another empty promise of information that really has no impact? For more stories and participation in our intergalactic community, follow ET's Arriving and comment below.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting the CIA has reportedly just offered a buyout to its entire workforce. Everyone in the agency is telling employees late today they can quit their jobs and receive about 8 months of pay and benefits. It's a part of Trump's push to downsize the federal government.
You are talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there? Redevelopment? And Mr. Prime Minister, do you see this idea as a way to expand the boundaries of Israel and to have a longer peace, even though the Israeli people know how important that land is to you and your citizens, just as the space is inherited by the Palestinians as well?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look because all they see is death and destruction and rubble and demolished buildings falling all over. It's just a terrible sight. I've studied it. I've studied this very closely over a lot of months, and I've seen it from every different angle. And it's a very, very dangerous place to be, and it's only going to get worse. And I think this is an idea that's gotten tremendous, and I'm talking about from the highest level of leadership, gotten tremendous praise. And if the United States can help to bring stability and peace in the Middle East, we'll do that. Bibi?
I mentioned again tonight our 3 goals, and the third goal is to make sure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel again. President Trump is taking it to a much higher level. He sees a different future for that piece of land that has been the focus of so much terrorism, so many attacks against us, so many trials and so many tribulations. He has a different idea. And I think it's worth paying attention to this. We're talking about it. He's exploring it with his people, with his staff. I think it's something that could change history. And it's worthwhile really pursuing this avenue.